Have you ever felt that modern life is an endless chaos, with more tasks than hours in the day? Imagine if there were a timeless formula, created centuries ago, capable of simplifying all of this and bringing balance and purpose. In this video, we will explore how the teachings of Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary samurai, can transform your routine, helping you focus on what truly matters and achieve more with less effort. Stay until the end to discover how to apply these lessons in your life in a practical and powerful way. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the amount of things you need to do every day, know that you're not alone. But here's a truth that maybe no one has told you. It's not about doing more, it's about doing better. And that's where Miyamoto Musashi's philosophy comes in. Musashi, one of the greatest samurais in history, lived in a time when his survival depended on quick decisions, absolute focus, and a calm mind, even in the midst of chaos. And do you know what he discovered? That simplicity is the way. When you simplify, everything becomes clearer. You can see what truly matters and start making decisions with more confidence and purpose. Now think about your own life. How many times have you tried to solve everything at once, only to end up even more lost? Musashi teaches us that less is more. He believed that simplicity was not just an aesthetic choice, but a life strategy. When you eliminate what's unnecessary, you make room for what really matters, whether in work, relationships, or your personal goals. And the most interesting part? This doesn't mean abandoning your ambitions. In fact, it means focusing only on what will truly take you where you want to go. It's like cleaning a dirty lens. When you remove the dirt, you can finally see the path clearly. So, the question I want you to reflect on now is, what in your life today is creating noise and preventing you from hearing what truly matters? Because sometimes the biggest change doesn't come from what you add, but from what you choose to remove. And Musashi knew this better than anyone. Now let's talk about something that directly affects our energy and productivity: food. And I'll start with a question. Do you eat to live or live to eat? It seems simple, but this shift in mindset can completely change your daily routine. Musashi saw food as something functional. For him, eating was about nourishing the body and mind, not about indulgence. Think about it. Every time you choose what to eat, you're deciding the level of energy and focus you'll have to face the rest of the day. If you overeat or choose foods that only satisfy temporarily, it's like fueling a race car with the wrong fuel. It won't run properly. An interesting concept from Japanese culture that Musashi practiced is hara hachibu. This means eating until you're 80% full. The idea here is to avoid that tiredness and heaviness that come when we eat too much. Have you noticed how a heavy meal can drain your energy? Musashi believed that choosing simple and nutritious foods, instead of processed or indulgent ones, was essential to maintaining the focus and energy needed to face the day's challenges. He saw food as a tool, something you use to strengthen yourself, not as an escape or reward. And now I ask you, how many times have you eaten impulsively just because you were stressed or bored? No problem, we've all done it. But if we start to see food as a way to boost our performance, not as an indulgence, it can help us make better decisions, not just at the table, but in every area of life. So next time you're about to have a meal, try asking yourself, will this nourish me or weigh me down? This simple reflection could be the first step in transforming the way you take care of yourself. Now let's talk about discipline. But first, let me ask you, how many times have you started something new full of enthusiasm, only to quit after a few days because it seemed too hard or time-consuming? This happens to everyone. But here's a secret that can change the way you think. Progress isn't about doing grand things all at once. It's about small steps taken every day. Musashi understood this deeply. For him, true mastery didn't come from big leaps, but from small, consistent efforts. He trained every day, even if just a little, because he knew that every practice, no matter how small, added up over time and made him invincible. Think about it. It's like drops of water falling on a stone. At first, it seems like nothing is happening. But over time, those small drops are capable of shaping even the hardest rock. That's the power of consistency. And you know what's even more interesting? It doesn't matter what you're trying to improve, whether it's learning a new language, starting an exercise routine, or even meditating. The secret is to start small. Something as simple as 5 minutes a day can make a huge difference, as long as you keep going. The problem is that often we want quick results. We want to lose weight in a week, learn a skill in a day, or change our lives in an instant. But the truth is, the things that are truly worth it take time. And Musashi teaches us that time is on our side, as long as we show up every day. So the question I leave for you is, what can you do today, even if it's small, to get closer to what you want? Because the key isn't intensity, it's consistency. And remember, a little every day is much better than nothing for weeks. Now let's talk about something that many people underestimate: rest. And here's a truth you may not have heard before. Resting is not a waste of time, it's a strategy. And no one understood this better than Musashi. For him, the balance between effort and rest was crucial. Think about it. What's the point of pushing yourself to the limit if your body and mind aren't prepared to give their best? Rest is not a pause in progress. It's the moment when you recharge to keep moving forward. How many times have you tried to push through, thinking that sleeping less or taking fewer breaks would make you more productive? The truth is, the opposite happens. Without proper rest, you become slower, more distracted, and make worse decisions. Musashi knew that sleep was essential to restore the body and mind, allowing him to always be at his best, whether in a duel or in daily life. And rest goes beyond sleep. Musashi also believed in the importance of small, strategic breaks throughout the day. He understood that, just as a warrior needs to sharpen his sword, you also need to sharpen your mind. And that's only possible when you give yourself moments to breathe, reflect, and recharge. Now, let me ask you, how's your rest? Have you been prioritizing good nights of sleep? Or do you still believe that sleeping little is a sign of productivity? Remember, working until exhaustion is not a trophy, it's a strategic mistake. Resting is not stopping, it's preparing. So, today, think about how you can adjust your routine to include real moments of rest. Because just like Musashi, you deserve to be at your best, and that starts when you choose to take care of yourself. Now, let's talk about something that seems to be the opposite of what the modern world teaches us, doing one thing at a time. In an era where multitasking is almost glorified, Musashi had a completely different approach. And guess what? He was right. Musashi believed that, in order to do something well, it was essential to be fully present. He rejected the idea of dividing attention between multiple things at once. After all, how can you give your best if your mind is in 1,000 different places? He knew that total focus on a single task not only increased efficiency, but also reduced stress and brought more clarity. Now stop and think. How many times have you tried to respond to messages while watching something or doing important work? In the end, it feels like you didn't do anything right, doesn't it? And there's a reason for that. Our brains simply weren't made for multitasking. When we try to do several things at once, we just increase mistakes and take longer to finish everything. Musashi teaches us that by dedicating yourself fully to one task, you not only complete it with more quality, but you also feel more satisfied when you finish it. It's that good feeling of checking something off the list, knowing you gave your best. And here's a challenge for you. Try focusing on just one thing at a time. If you're writing, write. If you're eating, eat. It seems simple, but you'll be surprised at how much this can change your productivity and even your mood. Remember, doing less but with more quality is worth much more than doing everything at once and not doing anything right. As Musashi would say, focus is the most powerful weapon you can have. So, what will be your first task to practice this today? Now let's talk about the environment around us. And here's a direct question. Do you feel overwhelmed just by looking at the place where you spend most of your time? If the answer is yes, it might be time to simplify. Musashi practiced minimalism long before it became a trend. For him, keeping only the essentials wasn't just an aesthetic choice, it was a matter of strategy. Imagine being in the middle of a battle and getting distracted by unnecessary things. Musashi understood that disorder, whether physical or emotional, creates noise that disrupts your clarity and focus. Think about your space right now. Does it inspire you or distract you? Often we don't realize it, but that desk full of stuff or that messy room ends up draining our energy and making it harder to concentrate. Musashi believed that by simplifying your environment, you create space for what really matters, whether it's work, a moment of rest, or even an important conversation. But this goes beyond the physical. Simplifying also means getting rid of what doesn't serve you emotionally. It could be that habit that adds no value, that worry that's beyond your control, or even a commitment you accepted out of obligation. Just like clearing a physical space, freeing up emotionally also brings a sense of lightness. And here's a practical tip. Choose one place in your home or workplace and do a review. Remove what doesn't have a real purpose or use. Start small, maybe a drawer or a shelf, and see how this already makes a huge difference in your energy. Remember, simplifying isn't about losing, it's about gaining clarity and space for what really matters. As Musashi would say, less is more when the goal is to live with focus and purpose. So, reflecting on Musashi's lessons is understanding that true power comes from simplicity, consistency, and focus. By applying these ideas to our daily lives, we can transform our routines and achieve much more with much less effort. Remember, it's not about doing everything, it's about doing what's essential and doing it well. If you start adopting these principles, you'll notice how you can live in a more balanced, productive way, aligned with your goals. I hope you've been inspired to put these ideas into practice. And as always, keep striving for the best for yourself, one step at a time. For more content that can make you better, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.